So we're back in here to the conversation on the number one ticket here for Crimson Tide Football News. We get into, my group of freshmen here. The freshmen that have to make an impact, that have to be able to contribute, that must start or get on the field in some way, shape, form, or capacity to help the Crimson Tide repeat here as national champions. But before we get into that right there, got to shout out Jimmy Clay again, baby. Jimmy Clay, another $25 donation via the Super Chats from him. Jimmy Clay now putting us at $50 here. That daily Super Chat goes, $75 Super Chat. The daily goal here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and Jimmy's got us at $50, so $25 away there from that daily goal of $75. But just getting back into the freshmen, the new faces that to me have to be able to contribute or start or make some type of an impact for the Crimson Tide in order for this group to repeat as national champions. We've already seen on the betting lines here, the Superbook, or the Superbook, kind of the betting line there, having Alabama with the highest odds of 9-5 to repeat there as champions of college football. But to me, the guys that have to find some type of impact, number one, I go to the offensive line. And with the Crimson Tide replacing three starters, Alex Leatherwood, Landon Dickerson, and Deontay Brown, to me, I feel like Nick Saban would flip Evan Neal from right tackle to left tackle. He would flip Emil Ekiyor from right guard to left guard, have all the experience on the left side of the ball, just seeing how you have three right-handed quarterbacks. You got to protect the blind side there. And on the right-hand side of the line, here is where you can plug and play the potential of Tommy Brockermeyer and J.C. Latham, two five-star freshman talented offensive linemen. And whether you choose to put Brockermeyer as an offensive guard and Latham as an offensive tackle or vice versa, somehow these two have got to find a way to break through and be marquee contributors here on this offensive unit. With Doug Marrone as the first-year offensive line coach coming over from the NFL, how will he and Nick Saban put this thing together remains to be seen. But I think about Alex Leatherwood came in from Florida in the 2017 class, played tackle throughout his high school career, but started his collegiate career playing offensive guard. The same thing with Evan Neal. He comes in from Florida as a big-time offensive tackle out of IMG Academy, but his first year started off as an offensive guard. So we can see kind of the same unfolding for Tommy Brockermeyer and J.C. Latham. But the right side of that offensive line, as talented as Javion Cohan and Damian George are, and they are, I really like to see how much of a push can Tommy Brockermeyer and J.C. Latham make as potential starters there on the right side of an offensive line. So that's just the first part right there. The second aspect to me would go to the return game. Kickoff return, punt return. To me, JoJo Earl fits this right here. Kick return, punt return. His speed, his elusiveness, his explosiveness, his acceleration, that athletic ability to be evasive, I want to see that in the return game. You lose Jalen Waddle to the NFL. How do you recreate that? How do you bring that essence back to this team and teams in the future? You put JoJo Earl as a punt returner, as a kick returner, and you let that young man go to work. Now, Alabama finalized its coaching staff with the hire of Jay Graham coming over from Tennessee, and Coach Graham did a phenomenal job down there at Florida State running special teams 2013 to 2017. And he was big with Roberto Aguayo as the place kicker. He was big with both of the punters that Florida State had, Case Beatty and Logan Tyler. But where Graham really excelled at was getting the right return man, and that was Levante Kermit Whitfield. And Whitfield, as a kick returner, the young man was a beast. Over 2,000 kick return yards in his career with the Seminoles. And you bring in Coach Graham, you put him with JoJo Earl, you let these two work well, gel well together. It could be something really, really nice on the field there for the Crimson Tide. So for JoJo Earl, got to have him as a return man, making that impact on special teams. When you look over now at wide receiver, after losing 2 number ones in Smitty and Waddle, I look at Christian Leary and Asia Hall. Now, Dr. Matt Ray, the director of performance science, he put out a graphic on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, and the graphic showed the speed numbers of Leary, and Leary ran as low as 4.15. 4.1540. Picking it up, putting him down, Christian Leary. Literally Henry Ruggs on steroids. So, just to me right now, it's going to be dangerously hard to keep that type of speed off the field. I know you got John Mechie, and I want to see what he can do in trying to prove Pro Football Focus wrong, but he is one of the best receivers back in college football. You got a Slade Bolden, you got a Xavier Williams, you got different guys at the position, but having 4.15 speed, Christian Leary, that is tempting. That's going to be really hard to keep that young man off the field because of what he can do in space, what he can do outside, the moves he can put on different defensive backs. If you're trying to give him a lot of cushion, he can take the top off of you. Christian Leary, circle that name at wide receiver. It's going to be dangerously difficult not to put him on the field. And right next to him, I got Asia Hall listed here at 6'3". Physical, big body guy who's got hands. I remember one of our own listeners, Spencer Revley, talked about it. He mentioned, Stephen, we've always had big receivers, but do they have the hands to put with the playmaking ability in terms of the size? Now, I agree with Spencer. You got to have the hands along with the playmaking, big body size right there. And with Asia Hall, I feel like he's got the hands. He can snatch passes out the air. He can go in the middle of traffic. He can run the vertical routes. He's very immersed in the route tree, but also along with that, very physical blocker, can put his hands on guys, spring plays, free up and down the field. So Christian Leary, Asia Hall, my 2 guys at wide receiver as freshmen, man. Going to be hard to keep those 2 guys off the field, and 2 guys I think that they've got to make an impact. They got to create some type of contribution here to the room. And then going to the secondary here. Here's where the most fun could be had. The Alabama secondary. You lose Patrick Surtain to the NFL draft. Josh Jobe is good, but Josh Jobe's spot is not safe. We saw this past season. He's got talent, but still gets called for defensive holding, still gets called for defensive pass interference, even had some offsides penalties in the 2020 campaign. So at the corner spot, at both corner spots, here is where the entertainment happens, because you got JaQuincy McKinstry, 5-star, Kool-Aid, one of the most pure athletes to come from this state of Alabama in quite some time. He's going to play football and basketball, but in football, I feel like he's got the ability to come in here and take somebody's spot. Who would it be? Remains to be seen, but he's got that type of ability. Then you look at Devontae Smith, not the wide receiver Devontae Smith, the corner Devontae Smith, coming out of LaSalle High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's got speed. He's got some physicality. He's got high ball skills. He's got great IQ. He's going to look to come in here and rock somebody's world and grab somebody's spot. Then you look at somebody like a Kadarius Callaway. Yes, he was kind of lower graded as far as the recruiting rankings than a lot of these other guys, but Callaway, to me, tremendous recovery speed out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. He could initially get burned on a play, but his speed to catch back up and still play the football and still defend at the highest level and still check these wide receivers. Want to see what Callaway can do. And then last but not least, Kyrie Jackson, the JUCO, 6'4". That type of height, that type of build, that type of physicality, I want to see that on the field. Alabama has never had a 6'4" corner, 6'4" defensive back. So how will he factor into all of this? So To me, I feel like Alabama would be good at safety, whether it's Jordan Battle and DeMarco Hellams back there, or Jordan Battle and Brian Branch back there. Daniel Wright has talent, but way too inconsistent for me. Has he cleaned it up, or will he be able to clean it up? That remains to be seen on his end. At the star position, I like Malachi Moore there, but he could even possibly push for being an outside corner in an outside corner role. So a lot of moving parts here in this defensive secondary, but just those four guys, Kool-Aid, Devontae Smith, Kadarius Callaway, and Kyrie Jackson, they're going to push here for that starting spot there at those cornerback positions for the Crimson Tide. But that's just me diving into, the guys from this 2021 class that I feel like got to make an impact, got to carve out a role for themselves and making that contribution here to this team trying to repeat as national champions. Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.